back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining in. As I promised, I'm going to deliver. I wanted to continue our discussions on legacy for the month of December. As you know, my podcast focus on spirit, soul, and body. And how can we strengthen our families? How can we strengthen ourselves individually? How can we improve the things that are important to us? And how can we improve our communities? That's really what it's all about. And I explore things holistically. I want to look at every dimension that exists. So today we're talking about legacy. We're going to be wrapping up the discussion. You know, last time I did ask you to put in the comment, what does legacy mean to you? You know, and I know I did have some feedback, and I want to graciously extend my thank you for all those that participated. And just want to let you know how important it is. And I do encourage you to continue on. So legacy, when you give your explanation, you can tell what your family has established as legacy, as well as maybe a general definition to you. I'll start by just letting you know that we know it's more than just material wealth, but it can also extend to values and memories and even wisdom that's carried through the generations. So let's start with just a simple definition. A legacy is something that you leave behind after you are gone. And again, it can be tangible, like a business and an heirloom, as we discussed before. But again, it can be memories and values. It really is the footprint that you leave in the hearts and minds of others. What exactly is it that you want to be remembered for? What are the things that you value? Legacy, at the end of the day, is a reflection of who you are. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 reasons that it's so important to leave legacy, as well as 3 ways that we can begin establishing legacy or to enhance the legacy that we already have in place. The first thing I want to talk about is preserving our relationships. We're going to address in a couple of different ways how to build that connection across generations. Sometimes it seems like we have cliques within the family, or if some family members don't want to participate, or even like sometimes the children are not interested after a certain age to connect. But when you really know your place and purpose and family, and it's really instilled and it's demonstrated on a regular basis, you will find that relationships flourish and that families thrive when they spend that time together. So let's start out by talking about one of the reasons that we should establish legacy. So when you establish legacy, it helps the younger generation to feel rooted in their past, as well as understand their heritage. Why is that so important? Because when they do that, it helps them to identify and establish a sense of belonging and purpose, which is very psychologically healthy as well as relationship healthy. When they do that, it fosters respect for the traditions, and they don't take things for granted, and they have a full understanding or a better understanding of how it and what it means to establish legacy. And they really get to understand their family and their family members, and by that way they understand themselves better. It also strengthens our bonds. This is one of my favorites. The next one, transmitting wisdom and knowledge. We pass on our life lessons and our skills and experiences, and we surely do that through our actions and our behavior. But one way that I love is compiling that journal. I think I mentioned this the last time. Find you a pretty journal, or maybe even a spiral notebook or scrapbook, but a pretty one, not just a basic one, something that's going to stand out, that actually represents your family. And you can make this a special journal that you can pass down and maybe even revisit it one time a year or throughout the year. You can make it a book of wisdom, if you will, where you can bless the future generations to learn how to navigate challenges and make informed decisions. No more making decisions based on our pure emotion. No more making decisions without having enough information to make a sound decision. This is one, like I said, one of the most excellent ways and preferred ways that I have, and I'm sure you have your favorite. And again, I invite you to join in and put down there what is your favorite way to establish legacy, and what have you heard so far um, throughout this month, or what have you found out that you say, hey, you know what, I want to try this, and I'm going to talk to my family about it, or maybe I'll implement it in my own immediate family. But this is what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about legacy. What happens when we um, come together and discuss legacy? It strengthens our relationships and it deepens the emotional connections between generations. This can include family stories, values, or goals that are passed down. I know sometimes we talk about memories when we come together, but have we ever talked about, hey, this year, this is what we're going to work on as a family? Have we ever shared values that have helped you to move ahead, or lessons that you've learned that can help each other, whether it's the younger generation or the older generation? That's a way of family build bonding, and also a way to establish family and make those connections across generations. So the second category that I'm speaking about today is preserving your values and tradition. Um, it I want to talk about reaching out the next generation and being able to influence them, um, again, by passing on practices and beliefs and habits. Again, sometimes when the young ones grow up, or they're finding their place in life, it may become a little challenging to look back. I remember when I was younger, and when my children were younger, when we would come back for the holidays, we I would find myself going from house to house because I wanted to see everybody, and I enjoyed the holiday spirit. I enjoyed the holiday food. I enjoyed the holiday gatherings. So I would go from house to house and spend a little time here and a little time there, and we would try to do that as a family unit. So that's important. It's important to do that, and even go back to some of our communities and talk about how can we unite during times of change. That's something that I did throughout the years that was I considered to be cultural, because just because I moved away from the place doesn't mean I forgot about it. Um, we need to be able to teach our the next generation and give them the opportunity to learn what we did and be able to pass on practices, beliefs, and habits that are proven valuable over time. Whether it's like honoring our ancestors. I know I talk a lot about my grandmother, um, and thank God my mother is still living, but my grandmother had a major impact in my life. And I'm speaking of my maternal grandmother. I did indeed have a relationship with my paternal grandmother, and she left a different impression in my life. She really did. I really saw a legacy of peace in her life, and among some situations that would appear to most people somewhat chaotic, she was able to preserve her peace, and she wasn't talking about it. She was being about it, and she symbolized a great measure of peace to me. So I do want to give my grandmother her props, but I often talk about my maternal grandmother and how she influenced me in so many ways. I saw her quite frequently, and at some point we all lived. together. So it's a time that we can honor them and live by certain principles. Again, when we come together, we can create a storytelling circle. That's one way that we can influence and establish legacy, influence the generations, influence each other, and establish generations. And when we tell our stories, we can include lessons and maybe talk about things such as self respect, faith, perseverance, and even community. Again, anything that we're really going to accomplish, we're going to do it being connected to someone else. You can do a lot of things by yourself, but you can't do everything by yourself. And when you begin to grow and really expand, you will find out that you want to be connected to other people. Um, so that's one example of how you can preserve through value and traditions. So now we've covered two reasons: connections across generations and preserving values and traditions as reasons to establish legacy. The last thing I want to touch on is creating meaning and purpose. We all want to know why we're here and kind of put our finger on, what are we here for? What are we supposed to be doing? And um, when you can actually define what drives you, you will be putting your finger on your purpose. When you realize something that you uh, uh, find very important and you spend a lot of time doing it and it comes natural, you will get a sense of direction and a reason to live intentionally. That's another word to me that has become very popular, and it really, really allows us to have a sense of direction, to stay grounded, and to have a reason to live in an intentional manner. Uh, and when what the result of this is, you're instilling a sense of pride and responsibility for the younger generation to carry forward the family um, legacy. So they're carrying it forward through their individual lives, through the families that they may form, um, as they go on and find partners and whatnot, as well as community legacy. That is what happens. Okay, you create meaning and purpose. You can also do a tree of life where everyone brings something um, and puts it on the tree to establish or to show what their accomplishments are. We are accomplishment driven. And so this is an opportunity to talk about how important it is to make accomplishments and talk about just the whole process of it. You just didn't wake up one day and had a degree, or you just didn't wake up today and had your land, you know, whatever it was. You didn't just wake up today and found this wisdom. It was a process. You can talk about that, and it helps the generations to grow, and it leaves a mark on the world, and allows them to be able to contribute something that will outlast us for days to come. Um, that's These are the things that we can do to create legacy. And I want to talk to you about one other thing: creating mentorship programs. You know how sometimes there's somebody in the family that you can talk to easier. You may talk to your aunt, you may talk to your sister, you may talk to one of your cousins. It's not always the mother and father, the people in your immediate household. So, we can actually intentionally pair um, members with other members so that there's a way to gain wisdom and guidance. If they if they need information, or if someone needs information on a career process, an academic process, or even a major life decision, they don't have to go at it alone. So family mentorship is something I don't hear a lot about, but I find that that's very, very interesting. And sometimes we do it naturally, not even knowing that's what we're doing. So now that you know you're doing it, you can be intentional and you can say, "Hey, I know I call so and so and I talk to them all the time, or I know we have our lunches, or we visit, or we do our chats. Why we can't do that as a family? You know, a lot of family have chats, but why can't we do that as a family to where you are speaking with someone or engaging with someone and they're giving you some information that's going to help you and you find it fruitful? So go ahead and talk about it. Tell me what you think about these three ideas and why do you feel it's important? You can list it in the comments. Why do you feel it's important to establish legacy, and what does legacy mean to you? I do want to touch on three ways to create legacy, um, and I want to talk to you about that. The first one I mentioned to you, I think, before is about doing the hand painted artwork. So, what we actually did, or what my daughter did for me, for my birthday, I guess, as well as the fact that she she's she has contributed towards this legacy project. She has contributed towards it, and this is a part of bigger vision that I have, which I think I mentioned before, which is Project Vincent, and I will talk about that some more in the future in January. I know that we had previously talked about the foundation. And as I did some more research and talked to some more of my board members and friends, found out that it really is kind of, and I looked at different projects and initiatives, and that's basically what the intention is. And when you see a project or a vision, you know what it's about simply by its name. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll tell you more about that. But the hand painted artwork is something that can be passed down um, through generations. It can be a personal expression. It can be something that is uh, deeper in meaning with symbols or motives that represent values or lessons that you want to pass on. Or again, it can be an heirloom. Um, that grows in value and sentiment over time. Excuse me. I want that's hand painted artwork, and it's so good now that you can even do the digital artwork. So we're taking these already absolutely beautiful portraits that were created and having some of them, not all of them, but having them turned into actual painting. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that that's actually a part of what my daughter chose to do for me. So I'm very appreciative. So that is a way to establish legacy, taking some artwork. And you may even, again, go a step further and make it, uh, you make it a painting, and you do see displayed here the two generational um, legacy picture, and we're looking forward to having a fourth generation legacy picture soon. I know I have that on one of my profiles, but when you look at that picture tells you a story and it gives us an opportunity to talk about exactly what that story is and what it means, what does it represent, what was going on that at that time, and it had been 14 years since we had taken one. Again, we used to do one every year. I know I did. I would take and have a family portrait made every single year. When we were younger, I know that we did it, but I don't even think we did it once a year. Now I can't even remember doing it at all. So I consider this to be a lost art, but there are some nice studios around, and that's an investment to make into your family and into your legacy. How about a mixed media collage? And you can put your personal effects in, and this is a visual. legacy, where you can bring together pictures, fabrics, letters, or either something else that represents you, and something that symbolizes a significant aspect of your life, whether it's a key memory or moment, whether it's an accomplishment or whether it's just a tradition, and you can bring that together and make it a collage. And everyone can do that. And it allows for you to tell your part of your story, get an understanding of who you are, and maybe include a lesson, and you can pass that on. So when you're creating legacy, again, these are affordable ways. You can pay uh, top dollar, or you can, make it as creative as you want it to be, and it can be very, very affordable. It depends on what you all want to do as a family. Okay. One thing I do like also is the writing. Personalized written stories or letters records our life lessons. It records our life lessons. And this is a powerful way to establish legacy as you document your story. As you document your story, this gives you the opportunity to share your wisdom, your mistakes, and your victories in a way that directly communicates your value and life experiences to help others, okay? And also passing down the family stories. I even thinking about recipes at this point, um, so that the younger generation can understand their history and have a very clear sense of where they came from. They're not wondering, because at some point during your life, you wonder and you try to make the connection. I don't care if you never saw your mother or father in the flesh. You wonder, you know, where did you come from? What part came from mom? What part came from dad? You wonder about that. And the stories that you write can be lasting words of guidance to some. It can be a final gift of advice. It can be an inspiration. You know, sometimes people write. Uh, Again, you can do journals of prayers where you pass it down. It doesn't have to be life lessons. This can be a time of inspiration and guidance, for your loved ones, and from your loved ones. This is something that people can leave behind when they're no longer with us. And I have a whole list of ways that you can create legacy, as well as why. And if you desire to have that list, I do invite you to email me, or you can just say, I want the list. But if you say, I want the list, I'm still going to need the email. So email me, and I will definitely send the list to you. You have to make sure you tell me what you want when you, if and when you email me. And also, I just want to thank you for listening. And remember that legacy is about leaving something behind. How do you want to be remembered? It's about the lasting impact that we have on the world, our families, and future generations. It might be through art, it might be through storytelling, it might be preserving our values and traditions. We have the power to shape the future. So I want to ask you to think about this. And if you don't have an answer, tell me about it. How will you build your legacy? What steps have you taken up to this point through this month um, to help you establish your values and your purpose to live on after you're gone? Think about it. And I do want to thank you for joining me today. If you have enjoyed this episode and you know that it can contribute some substance to someone else, I want to invite you to like and share. I'm still working on my Faith for 50 so that I can do my lives. I know later on I'm doing something, and I would love to share that with you, but I want to be live. I do not want to record it and then come back and show you. I want to be live, and it will happen. I'm not rushing it. I'm not rushing it at all. Thank you so much. Blessings on your day. And I will see you next time